Jim, the Mid-South Wrestling Television Review is getting ready for 1984 right now. A lot of big things coming up. Me and Mike Mills have reconvened. We've got a bunch of stuff that's going on right now. New episodes coming very, very soon. The latest one just went up. But early 1984, if you don't mind me asking you, because Mike and I were just talking about it, what do you remember about the TV taping where you and the Midnight Express tarred and feathered Magnum T.A. and also later on as a booker, as a promoter, when you did tar and feathering kind of things, is that angle there the reason why you knew never to do it in the ring?
Yes. Only if that's the last thing you're doing with that ring that night. Yeah, the TVs, when we first went to Shreveport and started doing the Mid-South TVs, it was obviously my first experience with doing television in a completely different territory that wasn't even an offshoot of Memphis. For example, the Georgia TV in the summer of '83, it was with all of our Memphis guys and in a Chattanooga TV studio with an old Memphis TV announcer, Michael St. John. So this was completely different. And you could tell that there was some element of malaise at the end of 1983, that, the talent wasn't quite in the right place yet, and the matches didn't have a little bit of a spark yet. But as soon as all the new guys got in and got settled, and the old guys that were staying had to step up their game a little bit, by the first few TVs of '84, things were cooking and the fans were starting to get a little more into it. And we got a ton of heat with that tarred and feathering deal that night, with not only the people in the building, but also the people that saw it on television. I've mentioned that actually some of the fans tracked down Bobby Eaton's car at the hotel he was staying at the week after that aired and tarred and feathered the car. So it started registering. How did
Magnum deal with it?
He didn't know what to think, because think about this. He grew up around the Carolinas and he had started down in Florida, and wrestling was a little straighter laced in those places, and he'd never seen an angle like that. And he thought, aren't they going to laugh at me? And I didn't tell him anything because it wasn't my place to at the time, but Dundee had to explain to him, not by the time we get finished, and not by the time that the heels start crowing over it and bragging about it, and not by the time you had to explain, because he was new. And you even see when he does the interview, he was so scared that people were going to laugh. He said, some of you out there may find this remotely humorous, but this is insulting.
Yeah, well, it's the first time he actually gets fired up in a promo in Mid-South. That's the first time you hear him fired up, and he's been there for a while. And he didn't have to worry about people laughing at him because Bill Watts was dressed like Buffalo Bob next to him.
Yeah.
What an outfit he had on that taping. But to your point.
That's the thing. Once that he saw that not only did nobody laugh at him, that they were actually physically assaulting us for doing it to him, then he said, okay, now then he started to learn the bigger picture of wrestling, where it wasn't just doing the moves right. It's making the people feel a certain way. Go ahead.
To your point before, and then we'll move on with the plug, towards the end of '83, September, October, it got really dry. Not that there weren't talented people there, but it got really dry, got really kind of slow. Not just the wrestlers, the TV, the booking. That first taping of 1984, like the episode I'm talking about, which is commonly called, I think, January 14th, but obviously the date floats based on where it aired and when it aired first. It has you guys tarring and feathering Magnum T.A.
And of course, by the way, for anybody who thinks we actually used real tar, no, the tarring and feathering comes with Cairo syrup serving as the tar.
Also, you guys had a match. So there's two segments right there. People were ready to kill you by that match because of what you did earlier. Then we get the promo from T.A. and 2 with Bill Watts. So a lot of things are covered. We also have a match from Neidhart and a match from Butch Reed, who had just broken up. So you have that going on in those two matches. And then the other thing is the Russians versus Duggan and the Dog. And this is when Terry Taylor debuts. And think about you guys got pushed right out of the gate bigger than any tag team we've seen in the couple of years we've been reviewing shows. They bring in Terry Taylor off a couple music videos. Right away, he confronts the Russians, and right away, he's with the Dog and JYD.
Yeah.
So Watts really was going to put a rocket to him, too.
Well, and obviously, and that was Dundee was booking, but with Watts's, approval and obviously, putting in little polishing things wherever he could or whatever. But that's not revolutionary booking. You don't bring new talent into a territory if you want to use them in a main event position without having them get win after win on television on a near weekly basis, and then involve them in with other main event talent where the new guys come out looking like they're every bit competitive or comparable to the people that are already established as main event stars. That's not revolutionary booking. That's the way you're supposed to do it. And when you do it with talent that can produce, like they did with the Midnight Express myself, or Terry Taylor, or later on with the Rock and Roll Express, or, a few of the other guys, obviously, that already done it with Dog and Duggan, etc. It works. And it works big, and they had a record business year. But it's not like that was something revolutionary that nobody else has ever done. It's a modern thing for top stars to debut on TV and either lose or be comparable with underneath talent because they don't want to hurt their feelings by not giving them a good match. And therein is also a byproduct of why things don't draw anymore and people don't care about wrestling.
Well, we'll be talking a lot more about 1984 Mid-South, I'm sure, but it is interesting. You guys debut on TV towards the end of 1983. A couple tapings later, Terry Taylor debuts. The next taping, Buddy Landel returns as a heel for the first time. He'd been a undercard babyface there. And then the Rock and Roll Express start getting mentioned. So it's fun watching the rollout, and we'll be covering it. MidSouthPod.com, or look for the Mid-South Wrestling Television Review, wherever you find your favorite podcasts.